Hello, you're watching Vnews Bulletin. I'm Nhung from Hanoi, and now the headlines as usual.
Prime Minister asks Samsung to consider Vietnam a global strategic base. Vietnam to become Republic of Korea's third largest trade partner. Glass-bottomed bridge introduced on Business Insider.
President Nguyễn Xuân Phúc is paying a state visit to Indonesia. The following are his activities in the country.
President Nguyễn Xuân Phúc met Riyasa Sachawinata, President of the Indonesia-Vietnam Friendship Association, on December 23rd, before concluding his visit to Indonesia. President Phúc appreciated contributions by the association, including Sachawinata personally, who is also managing director of Sriracha Group, to promoting the two countries' friendship. Budiasa Sachawinata said he hopes Vietnam's agencies will maintain support for his association operations and assist Indonesian firms in developing production and business activities in the country. President Nguyễn Xuân Phúc expressed his hope that the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry will encourage Indonesian businesses to pour more investments into Vietnam. In his meeting with Chairman of the Chamber Archad Rasis in Jakarta the same day, President said Vietnam has joined many free trade agreements, describing this an opportunity for Indonesian firms. The same day, President Phúc met Ambot, co-founder of Traveloka, a leading Southeast Asian online travel company, during which the president called on the firm to expand its cooperation in Vietnam and continue to help the country promote its land and people, thus attracting more tourists.
Indonesian scholar and senior journalist Veramala Ajaa has suggested Indonesia and Vietnam upgrade their strategic partnership to a comprehensive strategic partnership, saying it will further strengthen their bilateral relationship.
The ongoing state visit to Indonesia by President Nguyễn Xuân Phúc is an extremely important step toward raising bilateral ties to a greater height. Anjad, a senior research fellow of the Center for Southeast Asian Studies, told a Vietnam news agency reporter. The visit takes place just ahead of the two countries celebrating the 10th anniversary of the strategic partnership. It's also significant and a new milestone in long-standing ties between the two nations, the scholar stressed. According to Anchad, the goal of $15 billion in two-way trade by 2028 is within reach, given that it hit $11 billion in the first 10 months of this year.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính has asked Samsung to consider Vietnam its important and global strategic base in terms of production, research and development. He made the request when attending the inauguration ceremony for Samsung R&D Central in Hanoi on December 23rd.
Built from March 2020, at a total cost of $200 million, the 16-story facility sits on a site of over 1,100 square meters, becoming the largest of its kind in Southeast Asia and one of the 18 Samsung R&D centers across the world. Samsung plans to research and develop smartphones, tablets, hardware and software at the facility, employing about 3,000 workers. Up to now, half of Samsung's total global supply of mobile phones are being produced in Vietnam. The conglomerate is also developing and testing software of mobile devices and networks in the country. Prime Minister Chính said the launch of the centers in Hanoi is evidence of Samsung's orientations and commitments to long-term operations in the country. It's also a good start to deliver its close-ended production chain in electricity and electronics in Vietnam. Earlier, during a reception in Hanoi for Samsung Executive Chairman Lee Chang-yong, who came to Vietnam for the inauguration of the R&D Center, Prime Minister Chính suggested Samsung increase the total content of its products produced in Vietnam and reduce import. Lee said Samsung will work closely with Vietnam to further enhance the local content in both hardware and software products and recruit more Vietnamese workers.
Deputy Prime Minister Phạm Bình Minh visited and congratulated Archbishop Vũ Đình Hiếu and Catholic dignitaries, priests and followers at Bùi Chu Diocese in Xuân Trường District in the northern province of Nam Định on December 23rd on the occasion of Christmas and New Year 2023.
Minh affirmed that the Vietnamese party and state always pay attention to religion's rights to religious freedom and highly appreciates contributions made by the religious communities and the entire people in national construction. He said over the past years, the religious community and Catholics in particular have actively responded to movements to build the cultural life in residential areas, new-style rural areas, and civilized urban areas, as well as parishes free from crimes, drugs, and social evils. Nam Định is home to the Bùi Chu Diocese and Nam Định Deanery, which belongs to Hanoi Diocese with over 720 parishes and chapelries. Its Catholic community has over 470,000 people, accounting for over 20% of the province's total population.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea hosted a banquet in Seoul on December 22nd evening to mark the 30th founding anniversary of Vietnam Republic of Korea diplomatic relations.
Addressing the event, Foreign Minister Park Jin said that over the past 30 years, the two countries have achieved encouraging cooperation results in various fields, calling this a firm foundation for bilateral relations in the future. He highlighted the recent state visit to the Republic of Korea by President Nguyễn Xuân Phúc, during which the two countries lifted their ties to the comprehensive strategic partnership level. This will bring about substantive support for the two countries' businesses and peoples, and create a momentum to boost collaboration in digitalization and biology.
Five partners from Germany's Leipzig City and Vietnam have signed a memorandum of understanding on investment cooperation in air transport and logistics.
The signatories consisted of Leipzig Administration, Invest Region Leipzig, and Vietnam's Vietjet Air Cargo, Tay Bok Group, and Viger Law Limited Company. The deal was reached soon after a Leipzig working delegation made a fact-finding trip in Vietnam, from November 26 to December 2. The visit resulted in a specific cooperation plan between Vietjet Air Cargo and the German city, and its 1,400 Ha Leipzig Airport, the second largest air cargo transit point in Germany, the fourth in Europe, and the 20th in the world. As per the plan, the Vietnamese firm will carry goods between Leipzig and Vietnam, with one flight per week, starting at the end of this year, or the beginning of 2023. Meanwhile, Leipzig and Invest Region Leipzig will assist Vietjet Air Cargo and Tay Bok Group in conducting a complex project to expand cooperation in the region.
HSBC has raised Vietnam's growth forecast from 7.6% to 8.1% this year, but revised down forecast for next year from 6% to 5.8%.
According to the lender, Vietnam's growth for this year still benefits from the advantages in the country's post-pandemic reopening, but challenges will have heavy impacts on the economy next year. Despite the influences of the global economic slowdown, Vietnam may still top Asian countries in terms of growth, according to experts from HSBC. According to HSBC, Vietnam made a blooming recovery in 2022, which makes it more likely to continue to be one of the countries with outstanding growth in Asia. However, after posting year-on-year growth of over 17% in the first 3 quarters of the year, the country's export growth slowed down in October and sharply reduced in November compared to the same periods of the last 2 years.
Vietnam is expected to surpass Japan to become the third largest trade partner of the Republic of Korea, just behind China and the US, according to Korean broadcaster KBS.
As of November, two-way trade between Vietnam and the Republic of Korea hit $81 billion. The Newswire quoted statistics of the Federation of Korean Industries as saying, during the 1991 to 2021 period, the Republic of Korea's total exports and imports soared by 8.4 and 7.5 times respectively. but its exports and imports with Vietnam surged by 142 times and 240 times. Data from the General Statistics Office of Vietnam showed that, as of 2021, the Republic of Korea was the biggest investor in Vietnam, with 9,203 projects worth $78.5 billion. Samsung is the biggest foreign invested firm in Vietnam. This year, it poured an additional $2 billion in the country, and expects to raise its total investment to $20 billion.
The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences on December 21st announced shortlists in 10 categories for the 95th Academy Awards. It was a big surprise when a Vietnamese film Những đứa trẻ trong xương or Children in the Mist entered the top 15 nominations of documentary feature film. This marks the first time a Vietnamese film has made to the shortlist.
Directed by Harley Diệm, Children of the Mist is narrated by a 12-year-old ethnic Hmong girl living in the northern town of Sapa. The 90-minute-long documentary talks about the clash between ancient customs and modern values in a place where children from a traditional culture also have access to the outside world. The documentary was screened at film festivals in many countries, including the US, France, Australia, and Cambodia. There are high hopes for the Vietnamese film at the Oscars, as it has already won Best International Film at the 2022 Dokavit Film Festival in Israel and the Best Directing Award for Harley Diệm at the International Documentary Film Festival in the Netherlands.
U.S. magazine Business Insider recently published a photo report introducing Bạch Long Glass Bottom Foot Bridge in Mộc Châu district in the northern mountainous province of Sơn La.
Vietnam is home to the world's longest glass-bottomed bridge, Business Insider wrote, meaning the impressive world record Bac Long Bridge received from Guinness in 2022. The bridge measures 632 meters in length and stands 150 meters above a lush valley, the magazine said, adding that if you are afraid of heights, then the bridge probably isn't for you. It described the bridge as one way Vietnam is trying to bring back tourism after it was at a standstill for much of the past 2 years because of COVID-19. That means adventure seekers from around the world can now behold the beauty, or terror, that is Bac Long Bridge. Vietnam has posted revenue of $16.5 billion from tourism this year, against $32 billion in 2019.
The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism and the People's Committee of Quảng Nam Province organized a ceremony to wrap up the Visit Vietnam Year, Quảng Nam 2022, and launch the National Startup Year 2023.
Throughout the Visit Vietnam Year 2022, more than 210 events took place across Vietnam, of which 73 events were organized in Quảng Nam Province. The success of the event contributed to Vietnam's tourism achievements this year, with 3.5 million foreign visitors and 101.3 million domestic tourists. In 2022, Quảng Nam welcomed nearly 4.8 million visitors, 13 times higher than the figure last year. The Visit Vietnam Year 2022 helped improve awareness of the role of tourism in socio-economic development. Cultural and tourism activities towards green and sustainability have been effectively promoted, while many projects were invested and completed, helping to attract international and domestic tourists.